at the Rockefeller University, and he has 2 children in the GNT program at PS 11.
Yes, and I have a third little girl. So I have 2 kids. One is a 3rd grader, one is a 1st grader in the GNT program in PS 11. My 3rd grader started in 2017, 1st year in general education, 2nd year in GNT. 3rd year, when he was in 2nd grade in November, he was transferred to PS 11. So we've been through quite a few things with him. My younger one, he got accepted into PS 11. That's how we were able to pull in his sibling, basically, based on sibling priority. I just want to stress out, it was not easy, but it is doable. Once you have a child in the school, you can get the sibling in, but I had a lot of problems with that. One of them was even, so for that, because it's in a GNT, you have to apply through the DOE, and then I got a letter back saying, I didn't even get a letter, something else, they lost it in the mail. I had to make tons of phone calls just to get the reply. The reply was he was not eligible for GNT. And I said, how is he not? He's in a GNT program, and they didn't have any record of him. They couldn't find anything, and I had to send them I had it in my mail, the letter saying that he was accepted to the GNT program, and they kind of by that started pulling everything out, and they realized that he was tested, he's in a GNT program, and he can be transferred, and after I don't even know how many phone calls, eventually, it was done. You have to be persistent. You have to not give up, and just keep on calling, basically, and eventually. I think the main idea is if you're very persistent and they see that you actually really want it, then they will do it for you. Which I think that's what they did for us. So you really want, they just need to know that you really want it, and if it's that important for you, then
I assume you have a day job, or you just call all day long.
Yeah, I also have a day job. Yeah. I work full time. Yeah. So it was hard. It was not easy, but I'm very happy. And
Maya, why did you switch?
Why did I switch? For many reasons. One of which PS 11, if I may say, is a much better school than PS 217. It offers so many more things than this school was good for my son. When he was here in kindergarten, when he was here in 1st grade, I didn't have any problem with. The teachers were fine. When my son was transferred from this program into that, I didn't feel that academically there was a difference. That I want everybody to know that I felt that it was comparable. I even think that here in 2017 he got way more homework than he got, in PS 11. But other than that, there are many other aspects that I think personally this school is lacking. After school options, of course, and also all the main problem I think is that this school is. It doesn't have a lot of funding. So the PTA now is much better than it used to be, and they're actually working on making many changes to the school, and I think in the last couple of years it's already been through many changes, which are great changes to the school, but it still needs to go through more changes. I just feel that the other school offers them so much more extra activities than this school, and for me at least, I thought it was important for my kids to get that. Some parents would say, we do enough, on our own, and that's also fine. It's nice to have your kids in the local school. I liked it that every time we went to the playground, you see all, the classmates, and you had classmates in the building, and in the building next to you, and play dates are so easy, and, now everything is harder. If you want to schedule a play date, it's really more difficult. So then you have to go to, you have to look and see what, is more important to you and what works well for your family. But then when you make that decision, you really need to try and hope that you can make it.
But you're talking about the GNT program here, right?
So my son was in a GNT program here. Yeah. So once you're in a GNT program and you want to transfer to another GNT program, you don't have to retest. Okay. So you're already in the program. If you want to transfer from a district-wide to a city-wide, then you have to retest to go into that. But once you're transferring, so the school here in PS 11, they're both district-wide GNT, so we didn't have to retest for that. They don't look at your score anymore. You're in the system, you're in that program, and that's it. If they have a spot and they are willing, they will transfer you.
And did you mention he went from the regular program to the GNT after first grade, or
Yeah, so
how does that work?
So he was just tested again. So we tested in, he tested for kindergarten, but he didn't pass the test, and then we tested him again, and then he passed.
You can test each year. Yes,
every
you
year.
can
You
do.
can test every year for
Oh,
Like
I see.
third
Until,
grade.
I think, yeah, either second or
third grade.
Oh,
The last.
Yes.
And then transfer potentially
if there are spots. So that is here in the school on the island. In that sense, it's much easier because there are spots.
Yeah.
In other schools, it's much harder.
Yeah.
And the school here, the GNT goes from K to what level, and the same in P11, PS11?
So PS11 is an elementary school, so it's just K through 5th grade.
Okay.
Here, it goes into middle school, but I don't think the GNT goes. I mean, because the GNT hasn't reached that level yet. I don't believe it will, because most of the kids go to different schools once they finish elementary school. So I don't believe it will continue to middle school, but I don't know. I think the oldest they have now is maybe now it's the 5th grade. It's the first time that they're in 5th, right?
What would you say based on the information that you've learned? Is it easier before kindergarten or before first grade testing?
Well, so when my son, my first grader got into PS11, I think other than siblings, all that got in were 99ers, and that is not, it's a district-wide school. But it's a very good school and many people want to get in. Now that he's in first grade, I know of someone who got into the school with a 96. So, she didn't get in the first round. She got in the second round, which is still fine, but she still got in. She got a spot. So I don't know. The thing is, when you go into kindergarten, there are, more spots available. Kindergarten, usually they have 25 kids. First grade, usually they have 28 kids. So you always have those 3 extra spots in every class. Often those, I guess in a lower lab, for instance, those usually gets filled up by, siblings. But sometimes you would get a few spots that, are not by siblings. So you'll be lucky enough to get those.
And also from what you said, I think it's important to stress that it's not just the academic part. There's so many things also to consider, like the after-school program, for example, when you look at the schools, when you go to tours to ask about their, or even to consider the commute, because even if you find the best school, if you have to wake your child at 5:30 in the morning and start breakfast with them, and then they spend 2 hours on the bus, they might not be ready for any school after that.
And the GNT programs don't have school buses, I assume?
No, they do.
Or do they?
So
Okay.
there is a bus to PS11. We don't use it, but there is one. Well, not from the island. It's in 2nd Avenue and 64th Street, so it's quite close to the tram. But then you would still need to be there. I think it's like 7:45 in the morning.
Okay.
So we leave home at 8 now, rather than leaving at 7:15 to get to the bus. So it just didn't really make sense.
Where is that? The PS11?
In Chelsea.
There's a bus from Roosevelt Island directly to lab, but it also leaves at the crack of dawn. So we
Yeah, that's like
really
7
not
o'clock in the
often use it.
morning.
All right. Kelly has a son in first grade at 2:17 at the general ed, and 2 others on the way there probably. And she can tell us about our local school, maybe from a little bit different perspective.
Yeah, he said, so I have 3, with my son being the oldest, and when it came time for kindergarten, ultimately, we decided to put him here local for a number of reasons, and one was just being in the local school, the commute, with all the kids was just, the stress of that I felt like was going to counteract any benefit from, one of the other schools we would have chosen. Being with your classmates, kids on the island, like you just being as part of the community, we felt was really important to us. We go around, we know the kids we're with and the play dates, and it's really nice. 217 is a fairly small school, so from the first few weeks that he was there, all the administrators knew him, all the teachers knew him. It was it feels like a nice community. I think at the school, and we kind of felt like the time we saved on the commute into the city, we were able to supplement with other stuff, with other classes and extracurriculars. It's easier for us, since I'm a stay-at-home mom, to do that kind of stuff. So we've been really happy. We think the school is great. He's had great teachers. He's in first grade now. One of the things I really like about the school is that in the class, they really focus on, teaching like the individual. They do a lot of like breaking into small groups, based on where each of them are academically in different subjects, so that they're talking to people at the same level and trying to bring, everyone up. They had small sessions before school sometimes with kids, to like help push them on reading and writing. Like I felt like there was a lot of really trying to focus on who they are as an individual and what they need, rather than just teaching to a whole class of 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5. I really felt like they were trying to break them down into who needed what. And I think the school does a really nice job of that. They get a lot of extracurriculars. The school is beautiful. And I think a lot of it really was for us, the community. And it's really nice. I mean, I see the other parents when I'm walking around, and I can talk to them about stuff. And I don't know, it's...
And maybe you could, because somebody else mentioned that basically the two negatives might be the lack of the funding and the lack of the after-school program.
Yeah, I mean, that's, the funding part, I think, is kind of a cycle that feeds on itself. When people choose to not go to the school, then there's a smaller community with which to draw funds. But we have a great PTA. I mean, I think in the last couple of years, and this year especially, I've seen a lot. It's a very dedicated PTA. They're working really hard to try to bring stuff to the island. They're very involved in the school. And I mean, there's a lot of extras they do bring into the class. There's, I wrote down, let me just look here. So there's, they do art and Spanish. They do yoga and movement in the class. They have a living library for gardening. They do gym. In kindergarten, they go outside and play like twice a day if the weather is nice, which at that age I think is really important, not being stuck inside the class all day. And when they get older, they have, like now this year, I said in first grade, they have computer class, they do dance, they do, they have, I feel like the PTA is really working to bring in a lot of enrichment. Some of the fourth graders do an opera program where they write an opera. It's like they do some cool stuff, and we really feel like he's getting a really well-rounded education. I can understand the argument. There isn't a lot of after school. Well, I do wish that there were. For us, that wasn't as big of an issue because, like I said, we can add that on our own with what our son wants to do. If he wants to go to Taekwondo, we can kind of fill in the blanks there. But during the school day, there's a lot of enrichment that goes on in addition to the learning. And I feel like it's a really great community. It's a really special place.
Can you comment?
I just wanted to add, my daughter is at UNIS, so she's at a private school, but we are heavily involved with the Beacon and After School program at 217, because I think Kim runs a very nice after school program, and for us, even though my daughter doesn't go to the school, these are her neighbors, and these are the kids that she grows up with. When you go to the playground, you know them. So that was very important for us to take part at 217. So the soccer program this year is amazing. So many kids signed up. I think every child on the island signed up for the basketball program. So I have to say, I haven't had a child at 217, but I have to agree with you. The sense of community, and it's there. The PTA this year, well, I feel the PTA has been strong every year, but I feel it is moving.
Working really hard this year.
Absolutely.
Oh, great, thank you.